Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast. And if you thought you had a chance to breathe before the NBA Finals was over, you're absolutely wrong. Yesterday, Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, 5 second-round picks, and a first, I believe.
The 10th pick in the draft.
The 10th pick in the draft. I think let's just get right into it. Let's just start with Houston. Does this make them a contender against Oklahoma City in the West, in your opinion? Because, I mean, it's Kevin Durant, man.
Yeah.
And they just added him to the second best team record-wise in the Western Conference during the regular season.
I mean, yes. I mean, I think he's a top 8 player in the league, and he's easily by far the best player on this team versus before.
Certain Norwegians won't like that.
No. Some people won't like that. And but look, I don't think the Rockets are done yet. Like, I still think they have a couple different moves they need to make because at the end of the day, Jalen Green was bad in the playoffs, but it wasn't all Jalen Green's fault they lost in that first round. They had like no shooting, it seemed like. So replacing Jalen Green and Brooks with KD helps the shooting, but they need more shooters. And maybe that is where a guy like Reed Shepherd, a guy like Cam Whitmore comes in, slides in, and finally gets some minutes, can be impactful. But in my opinion, they still need to do more. They also still have to. They just declined Fred VanVleet's player option. So hopefully I think what's going to happen is he's going to sign a longer
restructured deal
where
like
he's not making as much
like
money.
$28 million or something like that over 3 years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Even like, I don't know. He might make like 31, 32.
I could see it. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like a guy that commands that probably.
Yeah, because I think there's a team out there willing to pay him 30, if I had to guess. But I think he'd want to play for this team because not only do they embrace him, but yeah, you're going to be playing next to Kevin Durant now.
Yeah.
You get to be more of a point guard role. You won't have as much offensive responsibility. And but when you are starting Sengun and Amen Thompson together, they are going to need that fifth guy. Now, can that fifth guy be a guy like, probably not Reed Shepherd, but let's say like Jabari Smith Jr., can Tari Eason take a 3-point shooting leap? I just wouldn't bet on it. And I'm a guy who believes in Jabari Smith Jr., but I would go out and get a guy who can just be, I mean, it's harder than it sounds, but like a 3-and-D, great defender, great shooter kind of
Right. So it sounds like to me you believe even with their current roster they don't have like they want to be active in the offseason.
I think they have a chance, but yeah, they should still be active.
So are they active on the trade market? Are they active in free agency? I mean, so let me just ask you this. Give me like a couple guys that you're like, I want Houston to go get, even if it means sacrificing Tari Eason or someone like that.
I don't know if you sacrifice Tari Eason for him.
Jabari Smith, whoever you believe is expendable on that roster.
I just think you go and get a guy like Cam Johnson. But yeah, but also I believe in Tari Eason and Jabari enough where it's like, I don't think you want to get rid of like that. So that's the problem that Houston has.
Because Jabari is like a guy that, could be as good as a Cam Johnson.
I think he could be better.
I think he could. No, he could obviously be better, but like he's a guy that you could easily look at and be like, we trade you for Cam Johnson. We might just be trading the player for the player.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why would we do that and break up our chemistry?
Right. Yeah. You're just trading for an older version of the player you already have.
Yeah.
But also there's a chance where we saw in the regular season and in a couple games in the playoffs where he kind of looks like a nothing on offense because he doesn't have much, he's like 6'10". He's not very fast. And if he can't, like there was a couple times he just couldn't take advantage of Steph Curry guarding him, if you remember in the playoffs. So that's pretty concerning. So I'm even trying to think of other guys they can get. To be honest, I only really look at trades because free agency, like it still exists and free agency can still be impactful. But I feel like because players get extended a lot sooner now, like free agency will never be what it used to be when it comes to just role players. I could be wrong about that. Maybe we'll see some moves be made. I don't even know. Do they have cap outside of? They have to bring back Fred VanVleet. Like
that's what the computer's here for.
So I mean, we can look at that. But overall, again, okay, moves need to be made, and we'll look at the cap. I don't know what moves, but Kevin Durant is a top 8 player in basketball. He's a superstar. He has, at least in my opinion, 2 or 3 years left of being a superstar before he truly declines. Because this game does not rely on being uber athletic, going completely off the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think on this Rockets team, I think he will try his best to be a good defender, but he won't have to be one of the better defensive guys when you're playing next to Amen Thompson and next to even Sengun has taken a step. Steven Adams, players like that. And it looks like they have 190 million.
So that's not accurate because that's
including
Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks and Fred.
Oh, right, yeah. But I mean, they're replacing that cap with KD, so.
Yeah, and KD probably is making like 50-something million.
and these add up to 54 million. So I would think it's about the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if this includes the player
But
option.
so no Fred. That means they're at 146 right now.
Yeah, but then they'll accept Jabari Smith and then Amen Thompson about 146, which by the way actually is not much cap at all.
No, it's really not. So the way you get guys is probably through a trade, honestly.
Yeah. I think there's probably gonna be a couple guys. That's the thing. Like I actually think what they need, ideally, I think they get a fifth starter who plays 24 minutes a night, and ideally Tari Eason or Jabari Smith close the game.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you get like a Royce O'Neal. A Royce O'Neal would be a good option in my opinion. You don't like that?
It's just a
He's
little.
still good.
You think he like? I know he's good, but you think that's like the championship push move?
I already believe in this Rockets core is the thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Because off the bench they still have Whitmore and Reed
But
Shepard.
clearly they went and got Kevin Durant because they're like, we're win now.
So do you think they trade guys like Reed Shepard and Cam Whitmore?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know that you can wait for them to develop if you just traded for Kevin Durant and you're like, we want to win now, right? We just traded Jalen Green, who was our quote unquote offensive superstar. I'm not saying he's not a good offensive player, but he was not a superstar.
Yeah.
And Dylan Brooks, who was a solid player. And you got a measurably older guy who's, like you said, 1 to 2 years. That's what he's got. So by making this trade, you're basically saying, as Houston, like, I think Houston watched OKC in the finals and said, okay, this team is beatable. We can beat this team. We just need to go get more. And they went and got more. So this to me says that Houston believes that with this core of guys, with Amen Thompson and Şengün's development in the next 1 to 2 years, that they believe they can win a championship. That's the timeline that we're looking at.
1 to 2 years.
Yeah. That's what because why would you trade for Kevin Durant otherwise? So you can be competitive, so you can mentor these guys? Like, no, that's not why you trade for Kevin Durant.
No, I still like, because they were the number 2. Like I know like you want to buy all the way in, and I'm a believer. Trust me. Like even though the Warriors won it in 22, I was kind of like they should buy in more. But I think the difference is the Rockets were the 2 seed last year,
Yeah.
and as much as you want to, give credit to Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, they weren't that much help to that. Like Dylan Brooks' defense was amazing, and Jalen Green was like one of their only scoring options. But I feel like this core, as it stands, is already top 2-3 team in the West easily.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess like last year they didn't deal with that many injuries, so maybe that kind of luck won't be the same next year, and you can't rely on that. But I think they're fine where they're at. Like outside of getting just one other fifth starter to barely, like I'm even trying to think of like an example of a championship. Like even when's the last time a championship team had a guy who started who only played like 24, 25? Maybe like the Bucks. Who was that fifth starter on the Bucks besides PJ Tucker, Giannis,
Or like Pat
Middleton?
Connaughton or something?
Or kind of like that, where like he's not supposed to be your fifth best player, but him starting, giving a good like 6-7 first minutes of the game, first 6-7 minutes after halftime. I just don't think they need. I think they have talent, and they don't need talent. They just need players that fit. And that, personally, to me, that's Royce O'Neal.
Maybe, yeah. I would honestly. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I would point to another Suns player and say, why not Grayson Allen?
Yeah, which is funny. They just made a trade with the Suns, and we recommend 2 Suns players.
Why not just go like? Can I have more?
Can I
have another one?
I'll give you more. If you give me
I'll give you more if you give me more. Can I have another one?
But
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Rockets right now?
I think it's a good move. I think it's a necessary move at this point in time. It does concern me a little bit for the offensive development of their other guys, but Şengün and Thompson are both young enough that like 22 each. Like I don't know that you're super concerned about it like hampering their offensive development. And Kevin Durant's also the type of guy that like he's a super efficient scorer.
Yeah, he is not.
He doesn't need to be a volume scorer. So I mean I don't dislike it, but
this really does open up Amen Thompson's game even more, in my opinion, versus like playing next to Jalen Green, where Jalen Green's not helping Amen's game that much. KD will.
But I do think they need more shooting. I do think they need more guys that as Amen Thompson develops his drive and kick ability, because he's shown his ability as a passer and a playmaker. I think the best thing to do is surround him with shooters and surround Şengün with shooters.
Yeah. Maybe you go get a guy like Sam Hauser if the Celtics are selling.
Could be, yeah.
Which
Sam Hauser.
The Celtics probably should be selling. So overall, I mean, I still think if I spare your early prediction, I think the Rockets are still. I think they're still a top 3 seed. for sure with
Yeah.
this KD trade. And honestly, you don't trade KD to get more wins in the regular season. But I think the fit is so good where, yeah, Jalen Green, like he had his times during the regular season and overall average over 20 points per game. But Kevin Durant's going to play way better. Like way better. He's going to fit better.
He's just he's an improvement.
Yeah, which is crazy to think that, yeah, this 2 seed.
Yeah.
Only to the Thunder, by the way. Yeah, like being the 2 seed to the Thunder.
That's
no one's catching up to the Thunder.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, the West was close from that like 2 through like basically 9. No, not 9. 2 through 8.
Right, but also the Rockets took their foot off the gas when they realized no one's catching up to them in those last like 10 games. Like I feel like they lost a good amount of games.
A little bit, yeah, and they took the Warriors to 7, and that was a good Warriors team. So
yeah, and they had a very flawed. Like the fact that they were the 2 seed and their roster looks so flawed versus the Warriors just tells you that with KD it's gonna be a whole lot better. We just gotta hope that KD stays healthy. Amen Thompson, I think, had an injury either last year or his rookie year. I forget which one it was, but hopefully he stays healthy. And yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, that for sure one of the teams to be most scared of because no one was scared of the Rockets because their best player was. Either, well, at the time people were saying Jalen Green or Sengun. Now clearly everyone knows it's Sengun. It's like not even close.
God, don't even get me started on that. Like even as a Warriors fan, that just irritated me so much on the broadcast. Their young superstar Jalen Green, like,
yeah,
he's the guy that made the All-Star team this year.
And so Jalen Green is going to the Suns. I've seen different sources of people saying Jalen Green will stay on the Suns. He won't. I think most likely. More of the sources have been saying he will stay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I actually think Devin Booker and Jalen Green would be a good duo. Like, a hot take. I think Devin Booker is still a good enough playmaker where we've seen years where he had a lot of responsibility playmaking-wise, like including like last year and this year, and he stepped up. And Jalen Green could play the 2 next to him, and I feel like it would work great. It's just Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal...
When is it ever just not Bradley Beal when it comes to the Suns? That is the crux of every single problem.
Which, by the way, if you guys didn't see, I don't think I told you. Apparently, the guy who tweeted or reported on most of the KD news went out and said that apparently 1 or 2 teams are gaining interest on Bradley Beal. I don't believe it for a second. Let's hope for the Suns' sake that, well...
Let's hope for the Suns' sake and also hope for the sake... hope for the sake of the Suns that it's true and hope for the sake of those other teams that it's not.
Right, yeah, that's exactly
like, why would you go out and trade for Bradley Beal at this point?
No, you'd have to really be tanking next season, which I guess some
next thing you know, Luka's getting traded for Bradley Beal.
Luka?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, the Lakers might need a scorer. No,
too fat, too lazy. Must get Bradley Beal.
Dude, the Suns already had their chance at Luka, and they passed on him for Ayton, bro. So, yeah, I think the Suns. I don't...
Let's put Booker and Luka on the same team.
That'd be hilarious. Those two hate each other. They learn to like each other, but I'm pretty sure they do have their pick next season.
Phoenix?
Actually, if you can look that up real quick. They're not going to be good next season. I think there's no way. I see teams that were behind them that will easily pass the Suns. And the Suns they didn't make the play-in, did they? They didn't even make the play-in, and I think... early prediction, the Pelicans and the Spurs are both going to be better teams than the Suns. So I don't know how the Suns enter the play-in race. Maybe Memphis, I don't know.
So here's the deal. They have their own first-round pick next year. Washington has the right to swap its 2026 first-round pick, protected for selections 9 through 30, for Phoenix's 2026 first-round pick. Orlando has the right to swap its 2026 first-round pick for the less favorable of the Phoenix pick and the Washington pick, if conveyable. Memphis then has the right to this is a mouthful. Swap its 2026 first round pick for the least/less favorable of the Phoenix pick, the Washington pick if conveyable, and the Orlando pick. And Charlotte will receive the least favorable of these. If the Washington pick is not conveyable, then the commitment to Washington will be lifted, and Orlando will instead have the right to swap its pick for the Phoenix pick.
So I don't think they actually own the pick.
So they don't own the pick.
They don't own any pick.
No. So basically, Washington's pick is conveyable. Convey its first round pick. So Washington's pick is conveyable unless it's 9 through 30. And if it's 9 through 30, is that what I'm reading? Because it's protected for 9 through 30.
I don't know if they own the pick. It sounds like
it doesn't sound like they do. It sounds like they don't.
It sounds like either one team gets their pick or another team.
One of 4 teams gets their pick, but not them. How did they get themselves in this situation?
Do they? It's a whole rabbit hole that I don't even want to get into. That's probably something we should have prepared for. But
then they have Utah, Cleveland, or Minnesota's pick. What does that mean?
I feel like if they have a pick next year, it is literally like the worst of like 5 teams.
They don't have a first pick. They have a second round pick via Denver or Golden State.
So I don't know what you do. If you're Phoenix, you just try and develop the players you have, I guess.
Holy Corby, this is a whole paragraph.
Dude, that's 7 straight lines.
What the hell?
200 words for a draft.
This is actually, I'm not even joking. I'm going to put this in a word counter. I'm like,
The implications of the 2028 Suns first round pick might have 200 words to it. So while he does that, I mean, they have a couple young pieces. They have, well, Booker's not young anymore, but they have Jalen Green that you can, trade Dylan Brooks to a different team, which, by the way, I think there's a couple of different teams that would take Dylan Brooks.
oh yeah, I used this before.
They have Oso Ighodaro, or I don't know how to say it. They have Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn looks like a promising player. I'm trying to think who else they have. Grayson Allen, I
There's
guess.
234 words in this thing.
So pretty much the Suns, y'all are screwed, bro. And it really does suck because you were in such a good. I guess okay. Wait, you have the 10th pick. I forgot about that, and you have 5 second-round picks. Apparently, I think one of the second-round picks is the last pick of this draft. So a terrible second-round pick, and then
Oh yeah, they
you
have
the 10th pick.
They do have it's not the last, but it's 52nd. Which
Oh,
in this they have the 29th pick via Cleveland.
Oh, they do have that. So
Yeah.
well, this doesn't include the 10th. No, they might have 52 and the last pick because they would
Yeah,
have
so
10.
now yeah.
So they have 10 and
they have-
29.
Yeah.
So that's a couple players to develop, but yeah, it sounds like you're probably not going to get your own pick for 2026, according to that paragraph. And
I don't know what's going to happen in 2028.
I don't even want to read it, dude. So I guess you just develop your players. You hope that well, you can't hope you win the lottery. There's literally no way you get that. Yeah, you just hope you make the play-in. Like, there's no reason to lose. I guess
Yeah.
Devin Booker, you have a year. This is your year to prove not only it's a Devin Booker's year to prove himself as like still a top 15 kind of guy, which he was not this year. It is also Jalen Green's year to prove himself. You are out of Houston. You are now in a worse situation because of your own fault, your own play. Suns fans, I feel so bad for y'all. Like there was this, so I keep like pulling out random sources, but like these are just like random tweets. So the guy, I think it was the guy who had all the KD sources, said that a coach texted him saying that the way that people look at the Suns, it's like every single player is a liability on defense, which KD kind of went out and said, there's no way anyone's saying, I pull out the tape of me getting picked on defense. Because he was saying like everyone gets picked on the Suns. But outside of Kevin Durant, you look at the rest of that Suns roster and you're kind of like, yeah, defensively, that team might be worse than like the Jazz or Wizards next year.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I was telling our friend Bjorn this. The Phoenix Suns outside of Booker and Durant have the worst roster in the NBA.
Yeah, I'd rather have like the Jazz and Wizards. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Because like the Jazz and Wizards try and lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's one reason that they look bad and they play like worse players. The Suns never tried to lose, and they still looked absolutely terrible. I mean, they were the 11th seed, which isn't nearly the worst in the NBA, but they were so awful. Yeah, that's really all I have to say.